Hello and welcome to another modeling video. This is Alan from the Man at YouTube with another model video. Today we'll be building, reviewing, finishing and testing multiple products for other tutorials on the Bandai Haropla Zakrello, released either late 2019 or this year 2020. Based off the 1980s design, Zakrello mobile armor featured in Mobile Suit Gundam. They've also released a kit, and I've built it on this channel many years ago. For a couple of hundred yen, you're given two runners, which is the original Haropla model kit with base and clear frosted polycaps, with an additional two smaller runners to make up for the Zakrello bottom missile pods thrusters and the two arms with the stars on them. You're given a sheet of stickers which we will not utilise. You'll have a far more easier time either hand painting or utilising a Gundam marker. The instructions are very easy to follow. They snap out of the runners and straight back together, being made out of ABS, and it's dictated as being a very child-friendly, easy to throw together 5 minute toy to build and play with, or from what I've been inspired by, a blank canvas to play with and match up with some of the artwork I saw in Japanese retail shops by professional modelers. The instructions were fantastic in showing colour, giving instructions in multiple languages, as well as rendered pictures of the parts coming together. What I don't like is it doesn't show the isometric or bird's eye view of the parts as line art depicting how it goes together, which I honestly think broadens the mind of the younger members of the community building kits and have an idea of manipulating an object from a 2D drawing to a 3D sphere. It might be robbing them of that, though this could be baby's first kit, and the isometric view and line art will be saved for more complex models down the road, but who knows at this stage. There is quite a few gimmicks for the very small amount of parts, and the colour separation is absolutely fantastic on the Haro front, where everything is a little more complex with the Zakrello bits, but it was about the same for the vintage kit. There's not much in the way to speak of seam lines, as there's little covers and all sorts of plates and hatches for the Zakrello. The assembly is actually quite genius, and it snaps all together quite easily. So making customs on that front would not be very difficult. The flash marks, the nub marks, the seam lines do not immediately pop up, but anything that's a glossy finish does require a bit of sanding and polishing for that finer touch. Moving to the Zakrello parts on the finished Haro, you've got the extending parts that you'd stick the arms and legs to, with a polycap that goes straight into a cup joint for quite a maximum range of articulation around just a static ball. So you can get a bit of movement out of the bottom components and top components, giving you a slight amount of animation or personalization in posing, with a base for it to sit on. Constructing the arms and bottom thrusters, the seams come together where there are panel lines. None of that is a hassle whatsoever, though you will find some very annoying flash marks, which is very worthwhile to sand away. But in its raw plastic snap form, as a toy, is very appealing for collectors of the vintage look of mobile armors, robots, Haros. Anyone that likes the Zionic or original Gundam aesthetic would most definitely be aware of this and the Haro ball and be purchasing it. I don't think there's much point in me raving on how good this model is, but its potential to push it a little further, and my intent of how I'm going to paint it, finish it, and present it here. Mostly leaning on experimentation of the anime cell shade effect in depicting how light hits it from a comic book situation and having hard edge shading effects. So it's going to be a bit of a blank canvas due to the cheap project, as well as testing tools being polishing sponges, a highly reflective acrylic metallic paint, and some other bits and pieces building it on the road. The snap build was completed in Japan, sitting in the hotel room during my time off. It was wrapped in its original sheet, taped up, put in the luggage. Once home, I was able to mount it on skewers and airbrush Tamiya Grey primer to start off the setting for the painting stage. Being furtherly experimental and anime-esque, the eyes of the inner frame, untouched by paint, were glossed over by a glittery blue nail polish, which really brought quite attention and humanized the character a bit. In Honing Your Airbrush Skills 23, I go into great detail how I paint this kit with the anime cell shade effect. First, using one of my most favourite colours, metallic black, as a base, opposed to just gloss black. With all these pigments, it breaks it up and gives it quite an interesting solid gloss, yet slightly frosted look. All the edging, as the anime cell shade effect has line art across it, was achieved by using a very fine 0.7mm Izu masking tape, opposed to later on edging it with either paint, a gundam marker, anything like that, which could be sloppier as you go. I chose to do it as neat as possible at the start. Using the same theory as colour modulation, I'll choose a isolated bit, being the brand thruster bit or the red tips, and I'll choose out about 3 colours or maybe 4, and going quite extreme, masking from black, putting down the darkest colour, putting a liquid hard mask in that area, or tape if I want it straight on a cylinder surface, apply a coat, allow 24 hours to dry, put a lighter coat of paint, another bit of mask, normally the lighter one second, and then the middle colour third, to get all those different hard edging cut lines. This is my approach to the art form, and I wasn't sure how it would go experimenting with liquid mask, taping mask, and finally some dusting and soft edge painting for the entirety of the sphere. Traditionally, anime cell is just done by hand painting and not really airbrushing. Claws were a very high gloss black and K scale model acrylic 4th gen polyurethane chrome paint were applied via an airbrush as an experiment in testing this product I came across. Popped quite nicely and blended with the whole scheme. Looking back, I would have either chosen only soft edge or hard edge, as the contrast of the sphere and the rest of the parts is far too great. But luckily it blends all together and it's pretty pleasing. Very happy how the painting has popped out with each part mounted on the bits. Appropriate details with panel lines and detail had a sludge wash applied, though some panel lines were covered by masking and contributed to the anime cell shade. All the masking was removed, a good study of it. Black wash anywhere else that may have needed, or some edging work. Touched up 1 or 2 parts that I weren't too happy with from the masking. Painted the little insignia on the right shoulder, washed that. A day later gave everything a couple of matte clears except for the glossy components. Added a bit of nail polish to the base. Each of the components were glued with PVA together to be staying in one strong piece where there's no articulation, and that is the model finished without any damage once the snapping was occurring. As I was assembling, obviously each of the joins and pegs were loosened in my usual style. It was a really cool model, no regrets, very happy to display this, can't really say that much about it. I'm going to reattempt the anime cell effect on some 3D printed helmets, maybe a full robot, and see how far that can be pushed in the reverse masking method, maybe blue tack. The masking tape for the edges definitely work for me, if probably a bit more neater around the curved surfaces. Thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, stay tuned for further content. Have a look in the description section for links. I've got multiple social medias where I post resources, built stuff, links to other interesting things going around the internet from Twitter, Facebook, all of that jazz. Also, in case this platform was to collapse in on itself, there's all sorts of projects going on in the works, and we'll catch you guys next time.